Zipper rolls out to the right, pitches off to Taylor, and Taylor's to the 20, down to the 15, down to the 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Billy Taylor! Touchdown, Billy Taylor! Billy Taylor scored a touchdown from 21 yards out. The crowd goes berserk. It was November 22nd, 1969, that they came to Barry, Michigan, all dressed in maize and blue. The words were said, the prayers were read, and everybody cried. But when they closed the coffin, there was someone else inside. Oh, they came to Barry, Michigan, but Michigan wasn't dead. And when the game was over, it was someone else instead. 11 Michigan Wolverines put on the gloves of gray, and as the organ played the victors, they laid Woody Hayes away. Under center is Wangler at the 45. He goes back. He's looking for a receiver. He throws downfield to Carter. Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Welcome to the Michigan Man Podcast on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V-Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew, for Wolverine fans from coast to coast. Go Blue and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. 4 years have passed since we played Notre Dame down in South Bend. We took a thumping at the hands of the Irish, 31-0. I don't think that's going to happen again this time around. Coach Brian Kelly and the Irish are coming off a 10-3 season. It had its highs and lows, but ended on a high note in the bowl game with a thrilling win over LSU. On our visitor segment in just a minute, we will take a look at Saturday's opener from a Notre Dame perspective and find out more about what is expected to be a very good Fighting Irish team. Our guest will be editor Lou Somogyi from Notre Dame's Blue and Gold Illustrated. Before Lou joins us, my view from Section 17. I, for one, am glad Notre Dame is back on the schedule. Not all Michigan fans are, and I do understand that. But the Notre Dame-Michigan rivalry is just that, a true and great rivalry. Since the series resumed in 1978, it is dead even. Notre Dame and Michigan have each won 15 times, and there was one tie. There have been so many great games in this series, and my guess is that after Saturday night, we will include this one. Here's another reason I love this game. In the last 40 years, no other rivalry in college football has had games decided on the last drive or play as many times as these two teams. Notre Dame thinks they can be a playoff team this year, and Michigan, of course, wants to prove we are back, finally, as an elite team. One game won't make it so, but a win in South Bend in that atmosphere against a jacked-up Notre Dame team would be huge. Blue and Gold Illustrated editor Lou Somogyi isn't sure how good either of these two teams are, but as he says, it's at least a good barometer game for both schools. He joins me next here on The Michigan Man on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V-Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Back with us on our visitors segment after a few years is editor of Blue and Gold Illustrated, Lou Somogyi. Lou, great to have you back on the show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, Mike.
Well, Lou, from my point of view, and I think a lot of Michigan fans, and I'm sure a lot of Notre Dame fans, it's great to have the Irish back on the schedule. And to open the season, it is always a great barometer for both teams, especially this year, isn't it?
It is, and when you talk about barometer, it's kind of funny. I just put up a story here, or I'm about to. This series is so even. Since the renewal of it in 1978, Notre Dame has won 15 times, Michigan has won 15 times, and there's been one tie. But the interesting aspect of it for Notre Dame is the years that it has either beaten or tied Michigan, that's 16 times. they overall finished with 75% winning percentage. 3 out of 4 games, and half of the time they finished in the top 10. When they lose to Michigan, they end the season on a 55%. That's a 20 percentage point difference, and in 8 of those 15 seasons, they either finished 500 or below. Now, I don't think it'll be that dramatic either way this year, but there's always a lot riding on this game as far as setting a tone for the season.
Well, Lou, it's a typical opener in the sense both teams do have question marks, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Has Coach Kelly officially named a starter at quarterback yet?
Yeah, Brandon Wimbush is the starter. Yeah, there's never been really any secret about that. He took every first-team rep during the spring that we saw, when practices were open, as well as in the spring game. He worked exclusively with the first unit and carried over into the fall. He started 12 games last season. They've invested a lot into him. Outstanding runner. One needs to work on consistency with the passing, especially with the short game. But, as a first-year starter, he accounted for 30 touchdowns last year, 16 of them through the year, 14 rushing, which was a single-season Notre Dame record, the latter by a Notre Dame quarterback.
Well, that Notre Dame offensive line has 3 starters back. The 2 losses were huge. First-round picks Quentin Nelson and Mike McGlinchey. Has Coach Kelly talked about how that offensive line is coming along?
Yeah, well, it's technically really 4 starters back because last year Robert Hainsey and Tommy Kramer basically were a cat team at right tackle. So this year they moved Kramer inside to right guard. They flipped Alex Barsh, who started at right guard last year, to left guard, where Quentin Nelson started. And so they have 4 guys basically who essentially were starters last year. And Liam Eichenberger Jr., who, our analyst Brian Driscoll had him as the top recruit for Notre Dame in the 2016 class. He's moved to left tackle, so he's got quite a lofty expectations to live up to because Brian Kelly, in his 8 seasons, has coached 103 games at Notre Dame, and in each of those 103 games, he had a future first-round pick at left tackle, starting with Zach Martin, who's already a 4-time Pro Bowl player, Ronnie Stanley, a first-round pick, and then Mike McGlinchey, a first-round pick. So, there's lofty standards there, and you got a new coach with Jeff Quinn after Harry Easton had coached the line for 6 seasons. So, there's the talent is never lacking there. You have a couple of fifth-year seniors leading the charge again, both our captains, Alec Bars, and then Sam Mustapha at center. You don't just lose 2 first-round picks and both top 10 caliber picks at that and say, oh, everything is fine and there shouldn't be any drop-off. You just don't lose players like that and replace them just without any problems or so. But they've tight end and offensive line are positions that Notre Dame consistently, year after year, just recruits very well.
Well, last year's leading rusher, Josh Adams, now in the NFL. Who are we going to see getting the carries or the bulk of the carries on Saturday night?
Well, Tony Jones is slated as a starter junior last season. He got a little banged up last season and wasn't quite healthy with a high ankle sprain that he suffered in the 3rd game of the season against Boston College. Didn't really start coming around until maybe the second half of the season. Ran for 234 yards total. He's more of a pounder between the tackles type of guy. He'll get you hopefully those 4 or 5 crucial yards there. They lost a lot at running back. Besides Josh Adams, you also lost Deion McIntosh. He's at East Mississippi Community College, last chance U, because of a disciplinary issue. C.J. Holmes also, likewise, he transferred to Penn State. Similar reasons there. And, the status of Dexter Williams, who averaged 9.2 yards per carry, is a little bit murky. Brian Kelly has been asked numerous times, and will probably be asked again at today's conference, what is the status of Dexter Williams? And each time his answer has been that he can't comment on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little murky there. Nothing has been officially said by the university, but many suspect it's a situation similar to last year where wide receiver Kevin Stefferson missed the first 4 games because of violation of team rules. But again, nothing has been said where I cannot definitively say that he's not going to be playing. But in the 4 open practices that we had in August, his reps were quite limited. So consequently, what they had to do was they moved 2 players to running back, both of whom redshirted last year as freshmen. Avery Davis was a backup quarterback, but very proficient runner in high school too, ran for over 1,000 yards as a high school senior quarterback. And then Jafar Armstrong from Bishop Meade in Kansas City, powerhouse there. He set all kinds of state records for receiving, but just has a natural instincts as a running back, and Brian Kelly has been successful in the past with this C.J. Procyse, who was a 3rd-round pick in 2016. He didn't move to running back until his senior year, again, because out of need, and he became a 1,000-yard rusher that year. So they've had a good eye for being able to use people or move people to running back.
Well, the receiving corps lost Equinemius St. Brown to the NFL. Chase Claypool had 29 grabs at wideout last year. He's back. Who are some of the other guys battling for time on the outside?
Well, Miles Boykin has been their alpha figure at wide receiver since the spring. It's a funny thing. Through his first 3 years, he has only 18 career catches, had 12 last year. But man, that last one against LSU, a 55-yard, just as one of the great passing plays in Notre Dame history. One-handed stab, avoided a couple defenders, won 55 yards for the game-winning score with 1:28 left, and was named the game MVP. And earlier, he made another spectacular catch on a 3rd and long to set up the second touchdown. So, ever since then, he's kind of become that figure that, okay, this is who they will look at to maybe be the alpha at the receiver position, and hopefully a tight end, somebody such as Alizé Mack, who hasn't, quite fulfilled his immense potential yet as the number 1 tight end recruit in the country in 2015, might be another appealing target.
Weather Center visitor segment this week as we get ready for the big opener down in South Bend on Saturday night is the editor of Blue and Gold Illustrated, Lou Somogyi. Lou, that Notre Dame defense should be very good this year. 8 of 11 starters are back. Talk about some of the key players on that side of the ball.
Well, most will tell you it's 9 of 11, and that's not, I think, even including Aloha Gilman, transfer from Navy.
Okay.
Who started all 12 games as a freshman in 2016 and played very, very well against Notre Dame when Navy defeated Notre Dame, was the leading tackler. I think had a career-high 12 tackles. And, it's one of the more veteran defense. You not only have 9 starters returning, but then you have about 4 or 5 other players who started a minimum of 3 games. So there's been a good rotation. They had some freshmen rotate up front last year too, that now are stronger and more well versed in the overall system. I think you have potential star power at each of the units there. Jerry Tillery is basically a 4th-year starter along the defensive line. Was looking to weighing his options to potentially turn pro last January, decided to come back, and he's now at the 3 technique instead of nose guard. And even at nose guard last year, he led the team in sacks and quarterback hurries, which is very unusual for that position. Tavon Coney at linebacker and Drew Tranquil, a 2-time captain, both of them. I think Notre Dame is only one of 8 teams to have 2 linebackers on the Butkus Award watch list. Coney had an outstanding season, leading tackler with 116 last year, 13 for lost yardage, playmaker, hard hitter, And then Julian Love, that cornerback, had a remarkable season, second team Sports Illustrated All-American as a sophomore. Broke up the school record, 20 passes, returned 2 interceptions for touchdowns, and wins against ranked teams such as Michigan State and NC State. So when you have that kind of star power at each of the 3 levels on defense, that bodes well. To get some improved play at safety. Hopefully Gilman can help provide that. But things are in place as far as just a combination of experience, production, balance, and depth there. The question there for many is Clark Lee is going to be a first-time defensive coordinator. He will be calling the defense for the first time, and he's going to get some veterans there on that Michigan side. Jim Harbaugh knows how to call a game on offense, and even Jim McElwain, he was a offensive coordinator for 2 national champions at Alabama. Ed Warner, offensive line coach, has won a national title at Ohio State. Spent some time here at Notre Dame too, building the line under Kelly.
Well, Lou, are there any newcomers, any freshmen on either side of the ball who have made a big impression in camp?
I think on offense, the wide receiver from Florida, Kevin Austin, has really put himself in the position to become a regular and see more and more snaps as the season progresses. Physically, he definitely has that look of a junior in college as opposed to a freshman. And every time practice has been open, he's one of the guys that stands out. Houston Griffith, who was an early entrant last year, safety, he started really coming on late in the spring. He was slowed a little bit by hamstring in August, but he is Notre Dame's top recruit in the last class, ranked number 43, I believe, overall by Rivals.com. So he's somebody could be in the mix. Maybe Shane Simon at the rover position as the season progresses might be getting some snaps, and he's been on special teams from what we've seen as well in practice.
Well, it seems like it has been so long since these 2 teams have met, Lou. Is the Notre Dame fan base excited to have Michigan back on the schedule?
I can't speak for the entire fan base, but usually this is the type of game that gets the blood boiling for many a Notre Dame follower. Absolutely. And it's like we said, it's a barometer-setting type of game.
Well, the atmosphere for Michigan Notre Dame games doesn't matter where it's played in South Bend or in Ann Arbor. It's always electric. But this year down in South Bend, game day is going to be there. It's a national game under the lights, and it's a green out. How often has Notre Dame pulled green outs in the past?
I don't really recall a green out as far as just the entire stands. But what I really don't recall is just the publicity attached to it. Sometimes they'll say, "Hey, let's have a green out." I say, "Oh, okay," but it's not always coordinated. Yeah. The execution of it. But they for several weeks have been talking about this.
Well, final question for you, Lou. I'm an old guy, so I can remember when this series resumed. And, I think since then we've been treated to so many classics in this series. The Harry Oliver field goal to win it sticks with me. That's one I'll never forget. But there have been so many other great moments and games. Is there a game or a moment in this series that stands out to you?
Well, that Harry Oliver game certainly was very special. But, look, anytime you win a national title, and that 1988 game, look, Notre Dame was coming into that opener against Michigan with a 3-game losing streak. Sort of like Michigan is this year with Notre Dame. Not sort of, but is. And you didn't really know what you had. And, out of nowhere, Reggie Hull, 5'5", 135 kicker, goes 4 for 4. Tony Rice, who is just maligned and ridiculed to no end as a passer, he starts off 0 for 8 with an interception. And, in today's game, man, you would be pulled so quickly, but he led that final drive, made some huge plays, 21-yard scramble, an 18-yard pass. On 3rd and 4, he kept the chains moving with a great second effort to get the first down. Notre Dame kicks the winning field goal with like minute 18 left, and then Michigan drives down, and Mike Gillette, one of the most clutch kickers they've ever had, who just minutes earlier had kicked one from 49 yards, lining up for the game-winning 48-yard field goal, and from the TV angle, it looks like it's going through, and then it just falls short and goes wide. And there's just such an immense, exhaling that, oh my gosh, survived. And who would know that, 4 months later there, you're the national champion. And everyone talks about that Miami game, 31-30, as one of the all-time classics, but man, you can't forget that Michigan game that year, because Michigan was a phenomenal team that year. Went on to win the Big Ten and the Rose Bowl. And, their only two losses were to number 1 Notre Dame by 2 points, missing a field goal in the final seconds, and then to number 2 Miami, after leading Miami 30-14 with about less than 8 minutes to go. They lost 31-30. So that one is one that, if I had to pick one, that stands out for those reasons.
Well, Saturday night's going to answer a lot of questions for both of these schools, whatever happens. I think it's great to have Notre Dame back on the schedule, because that gives us a chance to chat with Lou Somogyi, editor of Blue and Gold Illustrated. So, Lou, enjoy the game, and we look forward to having you back again next year.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much for having me.
Quick Hits is next as we wrap it up for another week here on The Michigan Man on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. On Quick Hits, other than Tariq Black's injury, nothing new to report. Jim usually doesn't go into much detail on injuries, and he didn't this week. So other than the usual early season bumps and bruises, we are in good shape for the opener. Here are a few game day notes. Michigan leads this series with 24 wins against 17 losses and 1 tie. The first meeting was on November 23, 1887, down in South Bend, an 8-0 Michigan win. Notre Dame won the last meeting with us down in South Bend 31-0 on September 6th of 2014. Brian Kelly is 69-34 in his 8 years at Notre Dame, and 122-56 overall in 15 years as a head coach. Last year, Notre Dame was 10-3 and finished the season ranked number 11. They returned 14 starters, 6 on offense, 8 on defense. They beat LSU 21-17 in the Citrus Bowl earlier this year. According to my Weather Channel app, the weather in South Bend Saturday will be overcast with a 50% chance of rain or thunderstorms developing in the afternoon, and a chance of scattered showers during the game. Winds will be gusty, and temps will be in the mid-70s at kickoff. So it's finally here. No more speculation, previewing, or daydreaming about the season. It's here, I'm ready, and I know you are too. Next week on Michigan Game Day, my scheduled guest is going to be the angel of the big house, beat writer Angelique Chengelis from the Detroit News. We will recap the Notre Dame game and look ahead to the home opener. On Thursday's Visitors Edition, we'll be joined by the radio play-by-play voice of Western Michigan, Robin Hook. So that will do it for now. Michigan, Notre Dame, 7:30 p.m. in South Bend. We're ready, and let's hope our Wolverines show up and do whatever it takes to get a W in what will be a madhouse environment. It should be fun. Have a great Wolverine week, everyone. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Think victory, beat Notre Dame. Until we meet again, take care, and as always, go Blue. Thanks for joining us today on The Michigan Man, here on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Our listener lines are open 24/7 for your calls at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Or email us at the Michigan Man Podcast at yahoo.com. That's the Michigan Man Podcast at yahoo.com. The Michigan Man Podcast is produced at the studios of Robin Lynn Productions, Allen Park, Michigan, and is not affiliated with the University of Michigan. Go Blue!